Trinity Lutheran Church has been committed to serving God through ministry for the past 120 years. Our location, facilities, and faces have changed over the past century, but our mission has remained the same: a commitment to Christ, to one another, and to the care of our community here in the metropolitan area and around the globe. Our congregation today is an active community comprised of more than 600 households, led by a diverse congregation council, a dedicated senior pastor and a new associate pastor, strong teams of lay leaders, dedicated staff, and many volunteers. There is an ever-increasing number of ways that people of all ages can participate in the spiritual, educational, fellowship, and service ministries of our church. Because of our strong heritage of service, outreach, and benevolence, we look to chart a course forward that ensures we maintain the strength to serve. With God's blessing, we look to overcome obstacles and provide for the long-term sustainability of our congregation and its mission. 56 years ago, Trinity Lutheran moved to our current location on the east side of Grand Rapids. Much has changed in the past half-century, including substantial growth in our membership, staffing, and the ministries we extend in Christ's name. However, we have come to a time for action. The facility has begun to hinder rather than enhance our ministries. Trinity's facilities are corridor-centric, with significant square footage dedicated to hallways. Repurposing space through the years has eliminated vital fellowship areas and taxed our multipurpose space. It is time we take a hard look at our building design to make it serve our needs, rather than fitting our needs into whatever space is available. Our cross tower needs significant remediation. It is one of the most iconic architectural structures of our beautiful church home. However, the tower and the adjacent area have become a danger zone. Poor water drainage and deferred maintenance have led to a crumbling limestone surface. Last winter, the largest piece of limestone to fall off of the tower weighed in at 31 pounds. To ensure the safety of our members and friends, we fenced off this area, which limits access to the columbarium and the beautiful memorial meditation garden that has been developed on the hillside. Our building is aging, and the general upkeep must be made a priority. Historically, Trinity has tasked our property committee with the ongoing care of the facilities. However, the state we find ourselves in with deferred maintenance and a need to update core infrastructure and systems goes well beyond the scope of this committee's responsibilities. General upkeep of our property and grounds must be considered as part of an overall upgrade to the facility. The largest areas of concern are: the 21-year-old flat roofs we have on much of our facility are in need of replacement. Leaks have developed and will continue to develop with these aging roof systems. The glass lantern above the altar has been the source of water condensation over the years and has caused damage to the ceiling of our sanctuary. This detracts from the beauty of our sanctuary and could lead to much larger issues if left unresolved. The HVAC system throughout much of our facilities is outdated and inefficient. It will require major maintenance and/or replacement. Additionally, many of the spaces in our building are not currently air-conditioned. The wiring in the building is original in most areas, and our modern equipment often exceeds its capacity. A pressing need identified by our congregation is our current lack of a suitable common fellowship gathering space to pause with friends before and after worship and during the week. With a 4-worship service sprint on a typical Sunday, worshipers are nearly pushed out of the building to make room for the next worshiping group. Some say it feels like we have 2 or more congregations here at Trinity because our traditional and rejoice worshipers rarely get to see and gather with one another. Without a common fellowship space, we are hindering our ability to come together and foster the bonds which make us a more dynamic congregational community. Despite the separation of our services, we are truly blessed at Trinity to have 2 distinct and joyful worship services from which to choose. Most churches that try to provide both options fail, as they either return to a single style or end up with a poor blend that attempts to please both styles but suits neither. With the growth of our Rejoice Contemporary Worship service, we have added a second service, and many times we will still run out of room at the 10 a.m. service, as Centennial Hall only seats 200. This overcrowding and overscheduling contributes to the lack of fellowship space. Additionally, with the forced service schedule, pastoral leaders are unable to meet and greet our members and visitors, and they are unable to be present during the education hour with our children. We are also challenged by the nearly constant need to recruit volunteers to reset Centennial Hall following worship. and the furnishings suffer from wear and tear as they are constantly being rearranged for the many uses of that space. Our youth team is extremely active and is a wonderful and growing ministry within our church community. Unfortunately, the space we have allocated for them is not commensurate with their needs and therefore does not inspire relationships or encourage our youth to grow in their faith. Right now, youth are relegated to a small corner of our building in a classroom-sized space. The size and layout of this room severely limit the options for its use. We have a group of more than 30 young people going on a mission trip this year, but this group would not fit in the space we currently give them. The technology and infrastructure of our building hampers their ability to connect and interact in the manner in which they are accustomed to. What message does this send to these young members of our congregation? Wouldn't it be better if we had a space designed specifically for them, more in line with their needs and methods of interacting? Our building today is, again, corridor-centric and difficult to navigate. This not only causes confusion with new members and guests, but is also a terrible waste of space. The square footage we have for hallways is space that could be used for fellowship, education, and other ministries that are currently crammed into existing rooms. A half-century ago, our staff was considerably smaller. Today, as our ministries have grown, we have added multiple full and part-time staff to serve those ministries. To do this, spaces designed as storage, closets, and even the library gave way to offices. The room for choir robe storage now serves as the office for 4 part-time music staff members. The old church library provides office space for our directors of congregational life and discipleship. Our parish nurse resides in an old storage room. To make matters worse, none of these offices share adjacency, which leads to confusion for members and inefficient communications between staff. Finally, we need to update our children's wing and provide better security for our children. The rooms and spaces no longer function as well for our youth and children's ministries, and those spaces need updating. There is also currently no effective way for us to limit access to this area of our facility, placing our children at risk from outside threats and making it increasingly difficult to simply keep track of our kids. Our staff and volunteers have done a commendable job of controlling this, but we are in need of better systems in this important ministry space. Through extensive planning and tremendous feedback from our congregation, we have come together with an exciting master plan revision that will open up our spaces and better serve our members for generations to come. The renovation and development of new space will allow us to connect better within, making our community stronger when reaching out. Repairing our cross tower is our first job. In late 2015, the congregation voted overwhelmingly to move forward with the remediation of our iconic tower. To do this, we have secured bids and expect to complete the project in 2016. Old attempts to seal up the surface will be removed. Much of the limestone shell will be removed and a new surface will be affixed with a new stone and proper systems of draining water away from the structure. When complete, we will have the cross tower restored, our columbarium at its base properly housed, and unfettered access to our beautiful hillside memorial meditation garden. During our recent feasibility study, our congregation spoke clearly that we needed to tend to our current facility as a high priority. The lantern above the altar will be properly sealed and any damage to the surrounding ceiling area will be repaired. The HVAC units will be replaced. This will provide more constant climate control to all areas of our facility and significantly improve energy efficiency. Old wiring throughout the building will be upgraded and brought up to code. Flat roofs and other exterior surfaces will be improved or replaced in both the renovation and new development of space and in the areas outside that development. A critical component of our master plan revision is the creation of a gathering space that will greatly increase our opportunity for fellowship. The design opens up the hallways and some of the classrooms upstairs to create a larger narthex and gathering area for those attending our traditional worship service. This renovated space will be connected to the larger gathering space by a stairwell and balcony. The new lower-level fellowship gathering space will be a vibrant center in our church building. Repurposing the existing courtyard and adjacent to the new expanded Rejoice worship space, office core, youth space, and new hospitality area off the kitchen, the possibilities for its use are many. It will allow for larger meetings and gatherings, overflow from Rejoice service, fellowship before and after all traditional and contemporary worship services, excellent adjacencies, an open flow from one space to another, and a central gathering area for our many ministries. We are fully dedicated to keeping and strengthening both of our distinctive styles of worship. To do so, we are creating a dedicated worship space designed to enhance all the aspects of our Rejoice contemporary worship service. The current stage and a storage area will be removed, allowing us to use all of that space for worship and music. Seating in the expanded space will accommodate up to 350 people. The new fellowship space, located directly behind this expanded Rejoice worship space, will allow for overflow on particularly well-attended Sundays. This expansion should allow us to hold only one Rejoice worship service on Sundays, which will allow for more time for fellowship between services and a less frenetic worship schedule. Having a dedicated worship space will eliminate the need for volunteers to set up and tear down, and this will also mean less wear and tear on our furnishings, not to mention our members. Our current sanctuary will continue to be used exclusively for our traditional worship services. We will attend to overdue repairs and upkeep to ensure this traditional space continues to serve as a beautiful and inspirational place of worship for decades to come. A dedicated space for our students is of paramount importance for our ministry. Currently, we draw members from half a dozen or more school districts. This youth space will allow for the opportunity to gather together for fellowship, which is important for helping our student population get to know each other and help our students explore their own identity and faith, where they can come with their questions, doubts, fears, troubles, and joys. The location is also important. Rather than an afterthought or a remote corner, the youth space is central in the new plan. This will communicate to our students that we feel that they are at the heart of what we are about at Trinity. It is a place where our youth belong. The space would be furnished with comfortable seating to relax in, places to work on school or other work, a large viewing surface for devotional and recreational viewing and playing, ample access to Wi-Fi and power for various devices, and places to create and share art. Many of the final decisions on the furnishing and utilization of this space will be decided upon by students, with support from our staff, the Youth and Family Ministry Committee, and other members. We asked the architects to create an open layout with larger spaces that will connect the various areas and eliminate our many corridors and hallways. This will make it more inviting for both members and guests, and eliminate the possibility of getting lost circling the building. This will also lead to more usable space, allowing us to create larger areas for fellowship, the Rejoice worship service, and our youth ministry, without greatly expanding the overall footprint of our facility. We will utilize glass walls, both interior and exterior, to make already expanded spaces seem larger, enhance transparency, and flood the building with natural light. The layout will also place more key gathering spaces in friendly adjacency to one another. Directly off of the new west entrance will be a centralized office core. This will place all of our administrative staff and pastors in one area, greatly enhancing communication and office efficiency. Also, with most all of the staff directly off the main entrance, members and guests entering the building will be greeted with a friendly face, rather than roaming the facility looking for someone, or being led on a journey to the other side of the facility. Our plan includes renovations throughout the children's ministry area with a specific emphasis on security. Limiting the entrances to this area gives us better control of who comes and goes and allows us to set up systems that enhance the protection of our youngest members. We will also be adding classrooms and enhancing the layout and functionality of other rooms. To address our needs and plans, we are initiating an intensive fundraising effort titled the Strengthen to Serve campaign. Our aim with this important effort is to raise the funds required to renovate our current facility, giving us a more open and inviting layout, with specific spaces for fellowship, contemporary service, and our youth. Our minimum goal is $3 million, which will enable us to complete all deferred maintenance, including the cross tower, as well as transform Centennial Hall into a new dedicated space for Rejoice worship. A challenge goal of $4 million has also been set, which, if met, will enable us to create a new multi-level gathering space to improve fellowship in our congregation. Finally, a miracle goal of $5,800,000 encapsulates the entire project and would allow us to redesign and relocate the office areas, which will free up space to create a new central and exciting space for our vibrant youth ministry. In order to reach our financial objectives, we will need both a substantial number of givers and a few fairly substantial gifts. So all members are asked to consider gifts above and beyond what they give in their regular offerings and other contributions toward this special campaign. And there is a variety of ways that gifts can be made. Long-term subscriptions or pledges payable over 3 years are easier for most and essential to meeting our goal, since it would be impractical, if not impossible, to reach our objectives with one-time out-of-pocket gifts. Gifts may be made in monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual installments at the donor's discretion, and a 10% initial investment toward your total pledge is encouraged. Non-cash gifts are an additional or alternative way you can support our cause. You may wish, for example, to consider gifts in kind, such as labor and materials, gifts of securities, such as stocks and bonds, gifts of real estate, such as land, homes, vacation and rental properties, or even personal property such as artwork, automobiles, jewelry, and antiques. And finally, you can choose to support our efforts through deferred gifts. These are gifts that can be given or arranged for now, but will not be received until later, and include gifts through a person's will by bequest, gifts of life insurance policies or annuities, and trust arrangements. There are also a number of very special gift opportunities that are available to donors of qualifying gift amounts. These opportunities offer people the unique chance to designate their gifts to a particular portion of our planned project and dedicate them in honor or memory of those they choose for the next 20 years, once payment for these areas or items is received in full. Donors of specific gift items will have their names and/or the names of those they are honoring with their gifts recognized in a special way. These naming rights will extend for a minimum of 10 years once payment for the item is fully received. And all donors, regardless of the size of their gifts, will have their names included in a special bulletin insert and on a special donor wall or donor book that will be displayed in a prominent and visible place within our newly renovated facilities at the conclusion of our campaign. But whatever the gift or method of making it may be, please be assured that your support is both urgently needed and will be greatly appreciated. Through the prayerful, volunteer, and financial support of many, and the extraordinary support of a few, we will succeed in our task. And as a result, our past will only be prologue to an even more fruitful future here at Trinity Lutheran Church. Won't you please join us in this exciting and essential effort to better ourselves and service to one another, to our community, and to Christ?